Thank you so much, John. I couldn't have put it all better than you just did. Before turning the stage to our next welcome remarks, I just want to acknowledge some of the people in the room here. Really, when you strive to create an event like this, you constantly want the highest level folks to show up to really see and contribute to the conversation. And today we're really honored to have the chair of and president of the EXIM Bank, Rita Jo Lewis, with us this morning, the COO of the Development Finance Corporation, Ambassador Kennedy, US's ambassador to Australia, Special Representative McAuliffe, and many more who you'll see and hear speak over the course of the day. I also want to recognize so many of the international guests that flew in for, I'm sure, bigger events this week, but I would love to say it's just for my event, for this event today. But really, we appreciate you coming in the spirit of this collaboration. Now I have the distinct pleasure of introducing Undersecretary Jose Fernandez. Undersecretary Fernandez leads the State Department's bureaus and offices that stand at the center of the Biden administration's international policies related to economic growth, energy, agriculture, the ocean, the environment, science, and technology. I truly don't know when he gets any sleep in. Mr. Fernandez is also the United States alternate governor to the World Bank, the European Bank for Reconstruction and Development, and the Inter-American Development Bank, highly relevant for today's focus. Prior to his most recent appointment at the Department of State, Mr. Fernandez was a partner at Gibson, Dunn and Crutcher in New York. His practice focused on mergers, acquisitions, and finance in Europe and emerging markets, advising U.S. and foreign clients in the telecommunications, energy, water, banking, and consumer industries. Again, very relevant as this is a private public sector collaboration. So to have a leader, representing the United States and the MSP in here today that understands the private sector side is always extremely helpful. Undersecretary, please join us on stage.
Good morning. Good morning. It's good to see a number of friendly faces in the audience, and frankly, to be back at a law firm for a change. Bet you haven't heard that in a while, right? Let me thank all of you for being here today to help us announce the creation of the MSP Finance Network. I also would like to thank Abby and SAFE for helping us organize this event today, and really for the work that SAFE is doing in general for the Mineral Security Partnership. We meet every week to try and push this forward. Also, DLA, thank you for allowing us to use your office spaces, and the Deputy Minister of Korea, Deputy Minister Hwan, for co-chairing this day today. So, warm welcome to a number of you. This is the first in-person convening of the MSP Finance Network. Why are we here? We're here because the energy transition is at risk. We need more production capacity for critical minerals that need to come online. And additionally, many of the supply chains for critical minerals are concentrated in one or two countries and also lack resilience. Addressing this challenge requires close coordination between partners and allies, countries with public finance tools, mineral producing countries, and the private sector, which is the reason why we've asked a number of you to be here today. Through the MSP, through the work that we are doing at the State Department, we've created several mechanisms to try and deal with this concern, and to bring in relevant parties from the private sector, from the finance institutions, private equity, producing countries. So what I'd like to do in the next couple of minutes is just walk you through the menu of organizations and groups that we have created, that we are trying to coordinate as we go forward. Beginning in June of 2022, we launched a Mineral Security Partnership, the MSP, which now includes 14 countries, plus the European Union. We collectively account for over 50% of the world's GDP, and our aim in the MSP is to catalyze public and private sector investments in strategic critical mineral projects to help build more secure, more diverse, and more sustainable critical mineral supply chains. We've achieved significant milestones. We have over a dozen projects that we brought over the finish line in the last 2 years. That is lightning speed in the mining sector, and that actually tells you how difficult this challenge will be going forward. But we also have over 30 projects in the pipeline that we are working on to see what we can do to support them. MSP investments are not limited to projects in MSP partner countries. In fact, we are actively considering, in the 30 plus projects that we are considering, we're spanning the world, spanning the globe. And we're doing this by tackling this challenge through 4 main lines of effort in the MSP. Sharing information about potential projects. You'd be amazed that at the State Department, early on, we were getting cables, and at the State Department, we still have cables, folks, okay? We were getting information about potential projects too late, when it was too late for us to do anything. So what we've tried to do is to share this information with our partner countries. That's number 1. Secondly, promoting investment and financing jointly when necessary. Thirdly, and this is our calling card, adhering to high environmental, social, and governance principles, because we cannot win a race to the bottom. We have to engage in the race to the top. And lastly, expanding offtake and recycling opportunities in critical minerals projects, because the experts will tell you that in 5-10 years, as much as 20 to 25% of our EV batteries will come from recycled components. But the problem is that the amount of investment that's needed to meet rapidly increasing demand for critical minerals will require the public and private sector to work together to move capital into new markets, which is why the State Department, in addition to creating the MSP, the Mineral Security Partnership, we've created a public-private partnership with the nonprofit SAFE, which we're calling Minvest. Minvest is intended to be our line of communication to the private sector. It will promote public-private dialogue and spur private sector investment in strategic mining, processing, and recycling opportunities. We also recognized from the start that we had to listen to governments and communities in which projects are located in order to better understand the challenges and opportunities. There are many mining projects around the world that are perfectly feasible, but aren't going forward. And they're not going forward because communities are opposed. They block the roads, they block the projects. So part of what we needed to do was to engage communities and engage countries and engage them on the basis of a race to the top. That's why earlier this year, we launched the MSP Forum, which formalizes and expands on the MSP's existing engagements with mineral producing countries. The MSP Forum will expand our work to advance and accelerate individual projects and to create a dialogue with producing countries on policies that will contribute to diverse and resilient supply chains. Promoting ESG principles through these projects is a core part of what the MSP Forum is trying to do, and many of the MSP Forum members are here with us today, and I encourage you to meet with them in order to explore these opportunities. Finally, third, on the public finance side, the development finance institutions, DFI, and then the export credit agencies, the ECAs in Washington speak, as well as government-sponsored critical mineral funds, have a key role to play in supporting the MSP's objectives. The newly announced MSP Finance Network, the network that we are announcing today, provides a coordinating platform for MSP export credit agencies, development finance institutions, and state-backed investment funds to finance and collectively de-risk projects, and also to crowd in private finance. Because many analysts have told us that the critical mineral industry and the associated supply chains will be a $1 trillion industry. So we need everyone. We need everyone to roll up their sleeves and actively participate, invest, and secure our supply chains and our energy transition goals. And this isn't charity. This is not about getting to heaven, although maybe we can do that as well. This is about opportunities for investments, and these opportunities are many. And we have a challenge. We just had a breakfast this morning where we talked about overproduction, the lack of credit, the ability to get early investments. All those are issues that we're trying to address through the MSP Finance Network. If we can crack the finance nut in this area, we will have achieved lots. And so that's what we're trying to do going forward. Our collective efforts will address financing for critical minerals projects. They will send a powerful signal to markets about the importance of securing and diversifying critical mineral supply chains through projects that adhere to high ESG principles, support the clean energy transition and our climate goals, promote economic growth and prosperity, and present a mutually beneficial model, a mutually beneficial partnership as we work on projects with producing countries. And here, I will tell you from a personal basis that we're pushing an open door. I've actually had world leaders, as we talk about our ESG principles, that will come and literally give me a hug because they do not want to have to choose between economic growth and environmental degradation. On the other hand, we have a financing issue, and that's why we are here this morning. So we look forward to continuing this important work together. Thank you all for being here today, and I'd like to pass the floor now to Abigail back, and I see my colleague Kurt Campbell in the back. He will address us in a minute. So Abby, over to you. Thank you.
Thank you, Undersecretary, for your leadership in outlining all of those impressive initiatives. I now have the distinct pleasure of introducing our true keynote of the day, Deputy Secretary of State Kurt Campbell. Kurt Campbell was confirmed by the Senate on February 6, 2024, and sworn in as the 22nd Deputy Secretary of State soon thereafter. Prior to assuming this position, Deputy Secretary Kurt Campbell served as Deputy Assistant to the President and Coordinator for Indo-Pacific Affairs on the National Security Council, obviously an area very important to the conversations we're about to have today. He was previously founding chairman and CEO of the Asia Group, a strategic advisory and capital management group. He served as the Assistant Secretary of State for East Asia and Pacific Affairs. Earlier than that, CEO and co-founder of the Center for New American Security, a group that we greatly enjoy working with at SAFE, and concurrently served as the director of the Aspen Strategy Group and chairman of the editorial board of Washington Quarterly. Among the many other positions he's held in his distinguished career, Campbell served as Deputy Assistant Secretary of Defense for Asian and Pacific Affairs, White House Fellow of the Treasury Department, and as Director of the Democracy Office at the National Security Council during the Clinton administration. Mr. Campbell was an associate professor of public policy at Harvard's John F. Kennedy School of Government and served as in the new U.S. Navy Reserves. He's the author of many impressive books, received his BA from the University of California, his doctorate from Oxford University, where he was a distinguished Marshall Scholar. He's also the recipient, unsurprisingly, given this illustrious career, of many, many awards, including the Secretary of State's Distinguished Service Award. Deputy Secretary, it's my honor to welcome you to the stage. Thank you so much.
Thanks so much. Let me just take a few minutes just to welcome some colleagues. So I want to thank our friends from SAFE for being such excellent partners. I had the opportunity to engage with them in March at our public forum as we began to get some of this work moving. Abigail, thank you. John Galili, I appreciate all the work that you have done more directly. Just a couple of people also want to recognize in this group, if I can. Our wonderful ambassador from the United States to Australia, Caroline Kennedy, is with us. Can we just say a word of thank you to her for her work? And if you would just indulge me a second in support of my wonderful good friend, Jose Fernandez. So he has given you, I think, a very clear laydown of what the MSP has done, what it's seeking to do in terms of making clear that financing is the essential, missing, and necessary ingredient. So as he lays it out, it all seems relatively clear and straightforward. You have no idea how hard and how challenging this has been, how many flights, how many visits, how many engagements with just untold numbers of financial institutions, international players, countries, and interested folks. Developing the theory of the case really, sorry, someone's letting me know. I've just started. I have like 1 minute left, so I'll go. Thanks, no worries. I'll go quickly. So I want you to know that, you know, we think about government as plodding and bureaucratic. I've rarely worked with a person more innovative, more determined, more committed to this effort. And I will tell you, if we are going to be successful ultimately, not only in the clean energy revolution, but just more generally in technology, it will be because of this pursuit and others like it. So I hope you will allow me just a moment. I would ask you, if you would please, to just say a quick thank you to Jose, because he is the public servant that more than anyone, has been behind this and helped in a very just absolutely relentless way. So I want to say thank you to Jose. So I think he's laid it out very clearly. I don't think I need to go through the nature of the challenge. I will say that other countries that are involved with us are facing enormous challenges. We had the Quad meeting in Delaware yesterday or the day before yesterday. One of the issues that the four leaders discussed, the Prime Minister of Japan, Prime Minister of Australia, Prime Minister of Japan, and President Biden, was how difficult it's going to be to sustain this effort. Prime Minister Albanese described literally dozens of mines in many of these critical areas that have been forced out of business because of price shaping that has been undertaken over the course of the last year. We will need to be very cognizant of some of the international challenges that we're going to face, of a market that is uneven at best and often manipulated in ways that are antithetical to our interests. That is going to be one of the biggest things that we have to deal with, given the important role of a country like Australia. The fact that much of its capacity is now moving into bankruptcy, or at least into abeyance for a period of time, is deeply challenging to us. And so I think the point I want to leave with you all, for this effort to be successful, it will require a number of things. Perhaps most importantly is a kind of partnership between the government, the public sector, and the private sector, which will be challenging. There's going to be issues that we're going to have to grapple with. You heard Jose talking about environmental issues, local voice. These are issues that are complicated in any extractive industry. These are going to be continuing issues as we go forward, but we are committed to making sure that those lines of dialogue are robust and important as we go forward. It also requires strong partnerships with countries that we will need to work hand in glove with. I do want to take a moment to thank our colleagues from Korea who have helped sponsor this event, who have been at the cutting edge of thinking about some of these issues. Sustaining those dialogues and those engagements is going to be important. One of the hard things about government, particularly during periods like we're heading into transitions, is sometimes if there is a major transition, big initiatives get lost or lose focus. One of the things that we're going to ask from all of you is to help remind us, whoever the us is that follows, how important sustaining high-level engagement, ensuring that we are determined to meet our goal. If we take the right kinds of investments now over the next 5 to 7 years, we will be in a much better place in 10 years to deal with many of the challenges that we're coping with, of which it will require sometimes 10, 20, 30 times more supply in certain critical minerals than we do have today. But if we miss a year or two, if we somehow slack off, if we do not follow through, it will create gaps in our capacity, in our ability to move forward. And I just want you to know that one of the things that I've seen inside the US government, at the National Security Council, the State Department, and Commerce, is a relentless focus on these issues. When we announced at the Quad the day before yesterday that we were going to start a new working group in this arena, it is designed precisely to make sure that allied and partner capacity are aimed appropriately in the direction ahead. So I just want to say I'm thrilled to be here. I'm extremely excited by this. It's wonderful to see so many partners. I see a friend that I hadn't seen in many years that we worked together at the Department of Defense. It seems wonderful to have all of you here today to be able to launch the next phase of what we're all working together. The financing piece is the essential piece going forward. I really want to say thank you more than anything else, and I'm just grateful to have a chance to be here. And I am deeply appreciative again to my friend and colleague Jose for all the work he's done. Thank you all very much. I think, am I okay on the time? Is that all right? Okay, good. Whew, okay. Thank you all very much.